What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Talkin Football podcast. This is now episode 20. We made it to the Big 20. In this video, we will be basically wrapping up my predictions for the season, basically the playoffs, Super Bowl winners, and the awards. Nothing really else to say. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, let me roll the intro, and we'll get right into my predictions. So, in case you guys weren't here, basically for the last week, or actually week plus, I've been doing predictions where I've been doing insights on each individual division, and I've been doing each individual team, and I've been previewing their record and what I think it's going to be. So, if you guys remember last year, I posted on Instagram my predictions, but this year I'm going to just be doing a video. And the one thing that's a little bit different, I'm just doing the playoff teams. So we're going to start with the NFC, and again, this is the same. This is like the same basic thing that I had when I was doing my predictions in those videos. So I have the one seed is going to be San Francisco. I had San Francisco, I believe, at 13-4 or 14-3, one of those two. Look, they're a good team. I just started this when they just re-signed Trent Williams. They already got Brandon Ayuk back. I mean, this is a full. They're all in this year. The Niners are obviously the number one team in this division or in this conference, maybe even the league. So no question, they're the number one seed. The Lions are the number two seed, so I have them winning the NFC North this year. I have them going 12-5. I don't see them doing anything really better than that. Maybe another win where they're 13-4, but still, I don't think they're going to have a tiebreaker over the Niners. So I still have them at the second seed, which is respectable considering the Lions have been very, to put it respectfully, not good over the last like 20-25 years. But now with Dan Campbell and company, they are now consistently going to be a playoff team, especially with the roster they've built. So I have them at the number two seed. Phillies, number three seed. They're winning the NFC East this year. I have them at least, which would be actually the first back, if this is true, it would be the first back-to-back NFC East winner in like 25 years, which is unbelievable. I mean, it's crazy how different it's been every year in the NFC East. But I have them as the third seed. Atlanta, I have them as a fourth seed. And this is mainly because of their, really, when you talk about it, this is mainly because of their like late off-season additions. So that's kind of why I have them as the fourth seed. I think you can probably switch them with Tampa, who I have at the seventh seed. You can probably switch them. I do think the NFC South is going to bring two playoff teams though to the playoffs. I have the Packers on the fifth seed, as you guys can see. I think Jordan Love is in for another really good year, like he did this past season. I really like the receiving core. I like Matt LaFleur a lot there. They just built a good team, and I really like the Packers to be the fifth seed this year and play Atlanta in the opening round. I have the Rams at the sixth seed. I really like the Rams this year. I like Puka and Cooper Kupp. And Cooper Kupp says he's more healthy than he's ever been, which is a big upgrade there, considering injuries have always been a concern for him. They have Corum and Kyron in their offensive backfield, and then they added Jared Verse to kind of replace and Braden Fisk to replace Aaron Donald. So obviously those are big shoes to fill defensively, but I do think that the Rams are still a playoff team. And then we have the Bucks at number 7. Again, they can be interchangeable with the Falcons. I have them being separated by one win. The Falcons I have projected going 11-6, and the Bucks I have them going projected not 10-7 there respectfully in the NFC. So if you guys wanted to know what I would think of each matchup, the Lions and the Bucks, I would have the Lions winning that one. It would be a rematch of their divisional round game last year. Eagles and Rams, that's a toss-up. That can go either way. I really think that could go either way. I do think that the Eagles will probably take it because they're more well-rounded compared to the Rams. But the Rams will make it definitely a close game and definitely entertaining one. The Falcons and the Packers would probably win that one. I don't see how Atlanta would outmatch Green Bay. They just would get lucky because they won the division, even though they are theoretically on paper a worse team than the Green Bay Packers. But all in all, I don't think it matters that I think when it comes down to it, you're probably going to have the Lions and the Niners in the NFC Championship again, but this time Lions come out on top. So my prediction is The Lions are the NFC champions this year, in my opinion. Let's go to the AFC playoff teams. So one seed, I have Baltimore. I have them going 14-3 this year. Baltimore is an unbelievably good team. Lamar, Derrick Henry, Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers, and then I mean that's just offense we're talking about. And then obviously on the defensive side, you have Marlon Humphrey, Kyle Hamilton, um, Nadi Madubuike. He's not just a Madubuike anymore. He says he wants to go by his Nigerian or Ghanaian. His how do I put this? I guess his family name, I think, is kind of how he wants to be, what he wants to be recognized as. So Nadi Madubuike, and then of course Roquan Smith down the middle. They're easily the best team in the AFC, and they could arguably be better than San Francisco, and that's an argument that I'm always willing to listen to. I have Kansas City at the second seed because it's Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I'm not going to put Patty Mahomes any lower than the second seed. I have the Dolphins as the third seed. I'm really high on the Dolphins. If you guys saw that AFC East video, I'm very high on them. I really like the Dolphins' chances this year to maybe make a deep playoff run. I really do. Texans are the fourth seed. They're going to win an AFC South. That's actually more competitive than what people think. Let me tell you. You guys should definitely check that video out. That division is very close, and you'll see why as you see the Colts on the bottom there. The Bengals at the fifth seed. Since he's getting Joe Burrow back. Ideally, they get Jamar Chase back. I believe even if he's not back for week one, he will be back at some point during the season. So that really shouldn't affect their playoff chances too much. I have the Jets, who are getting a fully healthy Aaron Rodgers back for this season, as well as their very stout defense and a must-win year for Robert Saleh. And then the Colts as a seventh seed. They almost snuck into the playoffs last year. If you guys remember, if they beat Houston, they would have had a significantly better chance of sneaking into the playoffs. Actually, I think if the Colts won that game, they would have clinched a playoff berth. So they were very close with their backup quarterback last year. So that's definitely something that isn't really talked about. The Colts are a good team. Let's be real here. The Colts are a very good team. I like them a lot this year. They're one of my teams I'm very high on. Like the Dolphins are one of them. I'm high on the Colts. So don't sneeze at Indianapolis. I really like their chances to sneak into the playoffs here. So in terms of these individual matchups, the Chiefs would beat the Colts because the Colts this Colts team is not going into would theoretically not go into Arrowhead and win. That's just not going to happen. I think the Dolphins would beat the Jets in Miami. If you guys watched the AFC East video, I said that I believe that this year's Jets are going to be what last year's Eagles were, where they start out maybe 8-1 and they end 10-7 because they were horrifically bad down the stretch, and then they would lose in the wild card round. Texans and Bengals is a really interesting one. I mean, let me tell you, the Bengals, who actually do have lots of playoff experience, are going up against a not so much experienced team with the Texans. That would be a very interesting game to watch. That would be must-see TV there, definitely in the wild card weekend if this matchup were to happen, which I do think it will happen. I think the Bengals would probably come out on top because they have more experience. They have more veteran players. You know, I think that is more important when it comes down to it. So I do think the Bengals would move on. In the AFC Championship, I do think that the Bengals and the Chiefs would play. It would be another rematch. And I believe the Chiefs will come out on top, which would set up a Lions-Chiefs Super Bowl for this season in New Orleans, which would result in, as you can tell by the top, I think that the Chiefs are going to win that Super Bowl. I have Mahomes winning the Super Bowl MVP and also the regular season MVP, which we'll get to in just a little bit. So, look, I think the Chiefs get the three-peat this year, and I don't know if that's bold or not, but I don't see a team that can stop them in the playoffs. They have the most playoff experience out of really any team in the NFL. And also not just playoff experience, valuable playoff experience. Look, when it comes down to it, I don't think the Cowboys have more playoff experience than the Texans because the Cowboys haven't made it far. So like that's not valuable. That's just one and done. Like that's not valuable playoff experience. The Texans are unexperienced, and the Cowboys and the Texans are like almost in the same boat. So I feel like it's hard to doubt a team who has valuable playoff experience like the Chiefs and with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Andy Reid and all those guys. I have Mahomes winning the regular season MVP. I find it very hard that Lamar Jackson will have a repeat MVP year. I do think that CMC and or Tyreek were robbed of a more fair MVP vote last season. I'll be honest there, but it's not out of the question. If you want me to be honest, if a position player could definitely win the MVP this year. It was hard for me to choose one. I think the safest option is Patrick Mahomes. I don't see anybody else really having an honest chance at getting it at winning the MVP. So right now, I think it's clearly Patrick Mahomes. Not offensive rookie of the year, offensive player of the year is Tyreek Hill. As you guys know, I'm very behind the Dolphins, so I feel like it was only right for Tyreek Hill to be offensive player of the year. He did not win last year; he was very close. Excuse me. Um, he was very close. The Christian McCaffrey won it over him last season. Honestly, well deserved because McCaffrey played well, but Tyreek Hill was just as good. I think that Tyreek Hill is going to have an equally as good season, and I think Tyreek Hill is going to win Offensive Player of the Year. Depoy, I have Nick Bosa. I think there's no way the Niners are the one seed and they don't get any awards. I think Nick Bosa is going to play a tremendous role in that push to the one seed. I like Nick Bosa to basically guide this team over guys like McCaffrey and Debo and even Brock Purdy, if you were to say that. I think that Nick Bosa is going to play a bigger role than he has, which is kind of funny because Bosa always puts up like around 15 sacks a year. I think Bosa is going to do even more. I would say Bosa has 18 plus this year. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I have Marvin Harrison Jr. I don't think it's going to be a quarterback this year. I think we should settle down on the quarterbacks winning all of these important awards. Marvin Harrison has the best chance, in my opinion, to win this award. I really like the Cardinals. They're not as like no one should be sleeping on them. The Cardinals are a very good team this year. I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be as good as people think in his rookie year. Jaden Daniels is in the same boat. I don't think Drake May is going to play enough to get that kind of respect. And I don't think Malik Neighbors, let's be real here, even though I'm a Giants fan, I don't think that Malik Neighbors is going to outperform Marvin Harrison. Because Marvin Harrison's more of the number one option. I mean, you could is Trey McBride that guy? Maybe I don't. I think he might be. I'm not a big fan of his, but he definitely has a lot of potential there. Well, here, let me clarify. I'm not a big fan of his for fantasy purposes. I feel like he was going too early, but I think in terms of real actual football, he's a very talented tight end, and he might take away some targets. But Marvin Harrison, let's be real, he's the number one option there. Now Malik, he is the number one option in New York, but when we think about it, when it comes down to it, you still have Wandell, you still have Jalen Hyatt, Darius Slayton. They signed Devin Singletary to a contract. So there are more options. I feel like Marvin Harrison's like the number one guy, other than maybe Trey McBride. So that's kind of why I'm thinking there. That's what I'm thinking there. Dallas Turner, I feel like is going to win the D-Roy. And what is going to be a relatively mediocre Viking season, in my opinion. I do think that Dallas Turner is going to be one of the few bright spots on this team this season. Look, he's an athletic freak. We saw it at Alabama, and I think we're going to see in the NFL. This dude moves. He's good. He's just good at football, and that's what I really like about him. There's nothing not to like about Dallas Turner. The fact that the Vikings got him that late was a crime. I mean, Dallas Turner should have gone top 10, but he didn't. He fell to Minnesota, and they traded up for him, and that was an outstanding decision there by O'Connell and Kwesi in Minnesota. So I have Dallas Turner win the D-Roy. Comeback Player of the Year. I have Joe Burrow winning that one. I have, obviously, the Bengals are going to make the playoffs. Joe Burrow is the reason why. He left last year. He got hurt, and he came back from the hand. He's going to come back from the hand injury. I don't really see any other player that can maybe come back from something like that other than Daniel Jones. But for that to happen, Jones needs to throw for 4,000 yards, like 30 touchdowns, like 5 picks, and lead the Giants to the playoffs. And that's just not going to happen. And I hate saying that, but it's not. Let's be real here. So Joe Burrow is comeback player of the year there. And also keep in mind, the last two comeback player of the year winners were two players that were not good, and they became good. I'm just saying, Damar Hamlin should have won the comeback player of the year last year, but he didn't because the media was like, oh, Joe Flacco's a better player. Like, I get that, but let's be real here. Damar Hamlin almost died. He should have won the comeback player of the year because the fact that he was able to play again is remarkable. But no, let's give it to Joe Flacco because he's old, but he's decided to play well again. And the NFL specifically said to these um, voters for the awards, I don't know if you guys saw this or not, but the NFL specifically said vote for players who are coming back from injuries. Don't vote for players who came back from nothing, like they came back from being not good at football, to put it frankly. There's no reason to give guys like Geno Smith and Joe Flacco these type of awards when they're not coming back from anything. They're coming back from being old or being bad. Like that's not fair. Um, Whatever. Let's move on to Coach of the Year, where I have Mike McDaniel winning. As you guys know, as I mentioned like 100 times in this video, probably at this point, I'm very high in the Dolphins. And I think Mike McDaniel will get rewarded with that, get some hardware for his man cave, and he'll get the Coach of the Year. And look, this would be a really good decision for the NFL. I mean, let's be real here. I think this would be a very, very good decision for the NFL media if they were going to give Mike McDaniel of all people a Coach of the Year. I mean, that speech is something I want to watch. That'll be very fun to see what happens there. All right, that's where we're going to end this episode of Talkin' Football Podcast. This is just the awards and basically the playoffs. Football starts this Thursday. We're very, very close to it. Side note, and I'm going to put a comment on this when the video drops. I want to know what you guys want. Do you want live streams? Do you want normal videos? This isn't like, and I'll definitely want to take what you guys want because then I'll import it into what I do. Again, like I said, if you want live streams, 100%, I'll do them. If you want just not standard videos, I'll do them. If you want specific game previews as like shorts or whatever, I'll do that. I'll try to. I'm not a big shorts guy, but I can get it done if you need me to. So definitely leave a comment on that while you're down there. Like and subscribe. And that's pretty much it. This is Talking Football, and that's what I got to say about that.